Hey, everybody, welcome back to Off the Wall. I'm Mike.
And I'm Sol.
We're here to talk about episode 3 of She-Hulk Attorney at Law. This episode is called The People versus Emil Blonski. You can probably guess based on the occurrences of episode 2 and the title what this episode is going to be about. Yikes. Man. You start because you were the first one to say anything about it. You watched it before I did.
Yeah.
And what was it you said? What was the first thing you said?
I said, rolled my eyes in the first 3 minutes.
Yeah. Did not start off strong. There were some genuine moments in this episode that I thought were actually very good. But for the most part, I thought this was one of the 3 we've had so far. I think this was the worst.
Yeah. And when it was like, I sent a thirst trap, a picture of me with books, I was like, oh my God. What is this writing? What is this writing?
That's what I was saying like last week. I cannot figure out what they're doing with Ginger Z in this show. Like, why is she there? I know she's there because she's in the comics, but like, other than just having killer fashion sense, I don't know why she's here.
Yeah. And one thing that really annoys me about this show so far, and it seems to be more hammered in the further we go, is that it truly is speaking to things that women deal with, which is sometimes men being assholes to us, or us having to work twice as hard to get the accomplishments of dudes, or like just being overlooked or things of that nature. But they're not doing it in a clever way. It's just really coming across where if I wasn't a woman who's like either like I've experienced some of these things or have seen it happen to other women, I'd be like, this is a little unbelievable, like the way it's coming across. And sometimes I'm like, it's kind of doing a little bit more harm than good. I don't know. I just feel really weird about this show and some of like the way it's coming across.
It's like I get what they're trying to do. I get what they're going for, and I appreciate the effort trying to take that stance. But I just think they're doing such a piss poor job. They're not like sticking it to anybody. They're just like intentionally poking the bear. And I said that a lot in our group text. Like they're just intentionally poking the bear, and like. But I'm like, that's fine, but don't let it be to the detriment of the story. And it's like they are sacrificing the story for the sake of giving the finger to trolls. Now, are there trolls out there who are saying the kind of things they reference in this show? Absolutely, and those people are stupid. The one, a lot like those incel dudes and the men, those MRAs, those kind of guys. It's like, yeah, those people exist, and they're gonna say this shitty stuff for just because she's a woman. And I understand wanting to take it to those people's doors and flip them off, but if all you're gonna do is make a crappy show in the process, you're just kind of proving them right.
Exactly. And part of it too, when I was watching it, I was just like, not that guys don't go on camera and say these things, because they do, but most of the time it's just in comments behind a keyboard where you don't see their face because they're cowards. These men who write things like this, they tend to be cowards. So like seeing like their faces and saying that stuff, and I was like, okay. The only one I actually laughed at was I don't know about y'all, but I'd smash. I was like, that one seems the most realistic.
That one felt realistic as hell, but also we've already had that joke like twice now, because we had it in the beginning of the second episode where it was the guy on camera who was like, I'm just saying, I'd hit it. I'm just saying. But maybe she's like, She-Hulk, and looks into the camera. Like, it's like, okay, we've had this joke twice now.
Yeah.
I just... So what I said in our group text earlier was that when this show is trying to be Ally McBeal, when it's trying to be a legal comedy, I think it does really well. All the courtroom and lawyer stuff, I was totally on board with. Everything else felt so tacked on, like the B plot with the like the best.
Why is he back? Why is he back?
why are we trying to make this guy a major character? I don't know. I didn't need that. Now, granted, some of that stuff was genuinely funny, like the stuff with the shapeshifter elf, like when she's like impersonating the judge and saying like no, like running away. Like I laughed, admittedly. I didn't.
I did really.
I get that it's stupid. Like it was one of those like I laughed at it and then I felt bad about it afterwards. But like I get that it's stupid. I didn't need that to be a whole subplot though. Like that could have been one scene.
Even like the meta part, the breaking the fourth wall, I was like, where the A B plot and the B plot combined, kind of. The only great thing about it is that kudos to Disney, they got Megan Thee Stallion in, and I loved the post credit scene with Megan Thee Stallion.
Post credit scene's great,
and also like it's hard for Latinos to just not dance whenever like we hear music. And I said this in our group chat, but like I'm at work and I'm over here listening to body yaddy yaddy, and I'm over here like don't move, don't dance, don't do it. Where like I'm wanting to like rock out just like they are in The Office, because that's what that song does to you.
It's weird for me because like I'm not a Megan Thee Stallion. I mean, this is not the kind of music I usually listen to. So like I don't know the songs. You know, I've heard her name. I don't know any of her songs. But no, the post credit scene is fantastic. Because like from my perspective, if I got assigned to be the lawyer for Rob Halford from Judas Priest, I would lose my mind. I would 1000% be blasting Breaking the Law in my office and headbanging with him and swearing to kill for him, because I totally would. Post credit scene so far we're 2 for 3 because the second one was weird.
And the main reason why, like you said, like the lawyer stuff especially like was good, where I say with the B plot it wasn't good to me because of that character is this is the part when we talk about being subtle, because a lot of times racism and sexism is subtle. Sometimes it's in your face, and when people saying racial slurs to you or saying sexist things to you, but more times than not, it's very subtle, and it's very much like you're just in a system that is shitty to you because you're a woman, or shitty to you because you're a person of color. This guy is just like literally saying all these things out loud, which that person doesn't exist. The guy that they're portraying in Dennis, like him talking about that lawyer, like, oh, my future wife is I can't have a 10 represent. Like, you would not be saying that as a client,
not as
like that in
especially
front of that guy. Like you wouldn't be saying that.
Who's a top ranked ADA?
Yeah,
you're a prosecutor for the district attorney's office. Like,
you're not saying that with lawyers present in the daytime. Like, you'll say that if you're getting drunk after work because you just won a big case, or you might like at the bar, or you might say that like at a work function because you're a creep, but you're not saying that in front of a bunch of people like that. Like
a
bunch of lawyers like that just doesn't exist. And I know women created the show, but it sounds so much like it's written like a man, and what men think we think is actually happening. Like
it's written like it was written by a man who was trying to write a feminist show.
Written kind of like as if an incel were to try to write a feminist show. Like literally that's how it's written.
Yeah. It's written like someone who's trying to write for an audience that they don't do. I mean, they do not understand.
Know nothing about. Yeah, which is weird because I know the show is made and written by women. So like I'm like, how is this not translating well? I don't get it.
That's why it almost feels like they were trying a little too hard. Like in terms of the, like I said earlier, the whole poking the bear thing. I really and truly do feel like this show was written specifically to piss off those groups of people that it's going to piss off. And I'm like,
those groups of people that are going to be pissed regardless because the show exists.
So my thought is, why don't you just try to make a good show and let the people who are going to be pissed. Don't fan their flames. That's all this feels like it's doing. Where I think the episode was strongest was everything dealing with like Blonski
Mm-hmm.
Everything dealing with the main title, the A plot, I thought was handled very well. That's the legal stuff I was enjoying, finding those loopholes, seeing her, getting to see her lawyer.
Yeah.
We haven't seen her lawyer yet because in the first episode, right as she's about to do her thing, the fight happens, and then we just move on from that.
With a villain that we haven't seen since the last like minute of the first episode.
We swear they're coming. They swear she's coming back. She's got top billing. But yeah, we haven't gotten to see Jennifer Walters be this awesome lawyer that she's been saying we know her to be. So like, oh, you had a slam dunk case against us. You only lost because of the mistrial. I want to see her lawyer. So getting to see her do that, I was like, okay, if this was the show, I would be so on board.
Yeah.
But 3 episodes in, this is all we've gotten of this part of the show.
Mm-hmm. But even in that moment, like that part of the show was 100% the best part of the show and like good. But the second he changed into the abomination and like everyone freaked the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like it seemed so over the top to me.
Yeah.
Like it was just like, wait a second. You know who this person is. You have him in this high security vault like thing.
Yeah.
And he turns into the abomination. And you're there just like, like.
First of all, why weren't those guards already in the room?
Right, exactly. Like, what is going on here? And like, it literally was just, yeah, I'd be freaked out if someone turned into something like that too. But like, it seemed like way too over the top. And what I put with this show after these 3 episodes is trying too hard. Mm-hmm. That's literally every episode. Trying too hard to make the jokes work, trying too hard to put a feminist spin on it when just be if you were just a show, a good show with a female lawyer, that's feminist.
Mm-hmm.
A good show with a woman that's actually like doing really, really well in her profession and better than some of the men in her profession, that's feminist. You don't have to be trying so hard at some of these things.
Yeah, it like I look back at like Falcon and Winter Soldier. Falcon and Winter Soldier tackled some serious racial issues. Mm-hmm. They did that in a way that supplemented the story they were telling. The story still came first, so that when you get those moments with Isaiah or with Bucky and Sam, talking on the street and the cops just randomly pulling up, like we get these moments that fit the story that we're telling. And with She-Hulk Attorney at Law, it just feels like a bunch of different ideas that they're not putting them together. They're just putting all these ideas, they're making a fruit salad and just throwing all the stuff in there and just, all right, this is, instead of like actually like doing something with it, it's a bunch of pieces that don't go of the same puzzle that don't really go together. And and now we're 3 episodes in. There's 6 episodes left. We're a third of the way into this show. Where are we going?
Right.
What's the plot? I don't.
How does Daredevil fit into this?
Seriously. Now we got a little like she's planning something about like having an inhibitor or whatever. I think that's going to be something she's going to try to like use for herself.
I thought it was to use like on Emil Blonski that like he had to wear that.
I'm not sure.
That was part of the conditions of his parole.
There was that, but there was that moment after they won the case for the douchebag. He's like, I wish I could just like wear a thing that would make these feelings go away or whatever. And she's like, did he just give me an idea?
I think to make powers go away kind of thing. And I saw, I could be wrong, but I saw it as, if they freaked out when he turned into Abomination, and then they also at the end said never become Abomination indefinitely. I was thinking, if he wears this to then never become Abomination, that could convince these people above all, like, this is how well he's done in the prison. He's a reformed man, and he won't turn into Abomination again because we have this device on him.
Could be.
So that's how I interpreted it.
I think it's going to be a little bit of both. I think he's definitely going to have to wear one. I think she's going to wear one too, because she doesn't want to be She-Hulk. She doesn't
But
want.
that's how she has her job right now.
It is.
Unfortunately, she's going to have to stay as She-Hulk at work.
And that's what made it weird about. So we get this final fight with her against these dudes, and I know that they're based on characters called the Wrecking Crew from the comics. I'm not familiar with them, but she has this fight at the end, and the fight we know is part of whatever the bigger plot is going to be.
Yeah,
that's coming.
Trying to get her blood.
Well, yeah, but they had this weird, like the last shot is like 5 seconds of her just staring at her reflection in the window, and I'm not super sure what was going on there, because it's like, okay, well, you just won the fight.
Yeah.
Why are you fine? What are we staring at here? I don't know.
And for me, I was watching it at work on my phone, and so because of the lights in my work, it just looked like it was a shot on like a car door. Yeah, like that's what I was like. Okay,
she's just staring at her own reflection. So I don't know. I don't know. And then I don't know what it was about this particular episode, but I think this was because we didn't have a lot of She-Hulk in this episode. But that was the CGI looked terrible. Like I was watching it on. Sorry, there's a bug flying in my face right now. I don't know what was going on, but the CGI on this particular episode looked terrible. It looked. There was a couple times where I was watching it on screen. Like as much as I love the post-credit scene, I thought even in that too. Like it's like the CGI on her in this particular episode looks really bad. And I don't know what was going on with this show behind the scenes, that the whole thing just feels sloppy, and I don't know what the story is there.
Yeah, and I know like you and Bogz like notice the CGI way more than I do, especially too because I was watching it on my phone. So to me, that wasn't a bother for me. Like because
smaller screen, you're not going to notice as much.
Smaller screen, yeah, and plus too, with the show has so many other issues that the CGI just doesn't bother me, kind of thing. Where because how many times have we seen like really great stuff with just shitty CGI? So I can suspend my disbelief with shitty CGI. English is hard. I have a really easy time doing that. Being a fantasy nerd like I am, so that kind of stuff doesn't bother me as much.
It's not the biggest issue with this. If honestly, if the show was written a lot better, I wouldn't care so much.
Right.
But it's like you're the writing is this bad and your CGI sucks. Yeah. Like I gotta get, and right now I'm like, I gotta get through 6 more episodes of this.
Yeah.
And I'm 3 in and I'm not having a good time.
Yeah. It's weird because like even in stuff that I didn't like of the Disney Plus era of these shows, like even like there's an episodes here and there that I didn't like, or kind of like there's always something that I can glom onto that gets me excited for the next episode or makes me go, oh, okay, this turned out okay. Mm-hmm. There's really nothing that's really keeping me, other than doing these reviews for the channel, wanting to continue to watch this show, which makes me really sad because like this is a female superhero, which I should be like all on it because I'm a massive nerd, and then also like we just come off of like Miss Marvel being incredible, and now we're going into this, for lack of a better word, crap.
Yeah, it's all of the shows have had things about them I liked and didn't like, and there's stuff about this show I really do like, but it's like 2 different extremes for me. There's stuff about this show that I think is fantastic, and everything else I think is pretty bad. And this episode was a lot of pretty bad.
Yeah. Where you are more on the dichotomy of bad and fantastic, I'm on the this is passable.
Yeah.
this is really, really bad. So I'm
That's
like,
the
so far, nothing to me has been fantastic about this
yeah,
show.
the stuff for me on this one that works, I think works really well, and it's just there's so little of it. This was the first episode we had that had no Bruce in it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And from what we're hearing is that he's probably not going to be in the show maybe one more time.
Yeah.
The folks who've seen the first 4 episodes who got to do the early access thing said that he's not in episodes 3 and 4. So I'm not sure what's and which all and probably not Daredevil either. So I don't know what I don't know what they're getting at, and I hope that now that we're through the first third, we'll go ahead and let the plot pick up a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. There's some people who are absolutely in love with this show, and more power to them. You know, different stroke for different folks. I wish I could see what some of these people are saying. They because for me, it's and again, like we said last week, the fault is nothing to do with any of the actors. It is
No, not at all. It is 100% the script. It is just absolutely bad writing, and the actors are doing the best of what they have with it. But and I joked that I think I joked earlier. What was it? Man, they focused way too much on the music and not on the and not on the plot, because the music in the show is great. This both with like the score and then also like the song choices, like in this show, like I think every single like end credit like song choice like has been a bop. Yeah. So like I'm just like, well, at least like I enjoy the end credits.
Also, earlier, I said Ginger Z plays her friend. I'm sorry, it's Ginger Gonzaga, not Ginger Z. So that's something totally different. Yeah, I really want this show to be great. I mean, I really do. Mm-hmm. I want it to be really clear. I want this show to be awesome. I want this show because I like everybody who's in it.
Yeah,
and I like the studio, and I like the source material. It's just It is purely a script thing for me. I cannot figure. I'm not picking up what they're putting down.
Yeah,
you know, the story itself isn't the problem. It's how we're executing it, and
right. And then like just repeating stuff, like repeating from the show, like with that joke too, and then also like using like the social media stuff, like they did that with Miss Marvel to like indicate public sentiment. And it was way better executed in Miss Marvel than it was here.
That's the thing. Like we just had another female superhero centric show that was also dealing with sociopolitical issues in terms of being Muslim and being Pakistani and things like that. And it's like how is it? And it was about a teenager, and it was super kid friendly. And I'm like, how did we nail that show so well and then completely misfire on this one? I know it's different writers, but I'm just like, it's amazing to me that these two came out next to each other. We had Miss Marvel and then She-Hulk Attorney at Law, and I'm like, how do we go from one that was written so well to one that was on the complete opposite of the spectrum?
Yeah, and speaking to what I said before, like with Miss Marvel, that's female centric and also a person of color and also a Muslim, which like you know how they're treated in the Western world. So and they were able to do things that were very forward for all of that without trying too hard and being subtle and showing kind of too, like I think like in the first episode where like the teacher mispronounces her name as she's walking down the hallway, like that's happened to me before. So kind of like these subtle little things that you're like you pick up on and you're like, oh, that's what these people have to deal with when it comes to like a white male world. And whereas like this show is just like beating you on the head with it in a way that you're just like, stop.
And it's not even so much that if they want to tackle the issue, but don't use, for lack of a better word, don't use the enemy's own language as you're like, they're using the things that people like a lot of these like these MRA dudes and these incel dudes, they say, oh well, this show is just about blank. If they're like, okay, well, let's go ahead and give them a show like that. No, don't give them what they want. Don't give them what they say you are. You're not proving them wrong. You're proving them right. I'd rather you make something that's good and proves them wrong while still furthering whatever message you're trying to tell with your story.
Exactly. Yeah.
Then just don't fight fire with fire, because then you just have more fire.
Yeah. Like, and I'm always here for being petty, but it feels like I'm gonna be petty today, and I'm gonna be petty for the sake of good.
Yeah. Like I'm Irish. I hold a grudge like anybody. I'm all about holding grudges and being petty. But like you can be petty and still hold the moral high ground. And right now it doesn't feel like they really do. It feels like they're just feeding into it, and it's bumming me out, because it's like at the end of the day, because now my entertainment's suffering.
Yeah. And it's weird when like you agree with their message.
Yeah.
But you hate the way that they're portraying it.
I'm all for furthering this cause. Please do. But don't do it in a way that hurts the cause.
Right.
Like don't, I'm a big metalhead. So I always hear all the time about people think that metal's violent and angry and aggressive. And like, yes, there are those bands out there that are, but like as a metal fan, I try to do my best to personify being a good person, to show that I can still be a good person, listen to angry, aggressive music. And so with the show like this, it's like you can for lack of a better phrase, you can push this agenda of seeing, of showing the way women are mistreated and wanting to be treated like equals without succumbing to the same lackadaisy bullshit that your naysayers accuse you of, because then they're just right, and you've lost any stance you had in the matter.
100% agree.
So that's what I, a man, think about how we should handle addressing women's discrimination issues here on the internet. So yeah, you heard it from an expert, guys. Oh. Long story short, this show is terribly written, and I hope the rest of the show is a lot better, because I would love nothing more than for the last 6 episodes of this show to prove me wrong.
Yeah, and I know you said you liked the second episode more than the first, like written wise. I think the writing has gotten worse each episode for me.
Here's the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, literally. And so I don't know how it could get worse, but if it gets worse next episode, I don't know if I can continue with the show.
We might not review this entire series, guys. Like at this point, I'm holding out for Daredevil, and that's about it.
And I don't think he's coming next episode.
No, I think he's coming in episode 5 or 6. It's going to be a bit till we see him. But I hate that. I hate that that's what's keeping me motivated at this point. Like, this is such an interesting character, and Tatiana
Maslany.
Thank you. Maslany is so good. Like, I think she has got the best comedic. She and Ginger Gonzaga have got great comedic timing and great comedic delivery.
Yeah,
I think that's why I liked episode 2 so much more, because I feel like the jokes worked a lot better in episode 2. And you know me, if it'll make me laugh, I'm on board.
Right.
So,
yeah, 100%. Like, it's sad to see such good acting being done with such bad material.
It is. It bums me out, because this had all the right stuff to be an awesome show, and so far it is not. But I'm sure you guys have a lot of thoughts of your own as well. So please make sure you let us know down in the comments what you thought of episode 3 of She-Hulk, The People versus Emil Blonski. You can also let us know on Twitter. All our Twitter stuff is in the description of this video. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, hit the bell, and we'll see you guys again next time here on Off the Wall. Bye.